She spent 10 years doing nothing but killing monsters to avenge her father. She reached level 99, earned the title of Fist Saint, and helped slay the Demon Lord himself. But now that the war is over, this unstoppable warrior has absolutely zero idea how to just live a normal life.
A mysterious dungeon said to appear only after the Demon Lord's defeat. The Hidden Dungeon. Crawling with unknown monsters, overflowing with untold treasures, and buried deep beneath the earth. Nobody knows what horrors wait inside, but one thing is certain. The seal keeping it shut just broke wide open. The hero's party rolls back into the royal capital of Altea to a roaring crowd. Confetti's flying, people are screaming, the whole city is throwing a parade, but something's off. Lady Nirvana, the legendary Fist Saint, is nowhere to be found. The crowd starts murmuring, and even her own party members look confused. Yui's fists had reached a level of mastery so terrifying she earned the sacred title of Fist Saint. She was part of the hero's party that took down the Demon Lord himself. Her punches could shatter giants, her speed outran lightning, and legends say her knuckles were permanently stained with monster blood. A single warrior worth an entire army. That was Yui Nirvana. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Her whole reason for fighting was revenge. Her father was killed by a monster 10 years ago, and she threw herself into brutal, non-stop combat to destroy the source of it all. That devotion, that fury, those countless brushes with death forged her into something terrifying. And then the Demon Lord fell, and suddenly she had nothing left to fight for. So while everyone's celebrating in the capital, Yui quietly slips away to the fishing port town of Imizu, way out on the eastern edge of the map. 10 years gone, and the place hasn't changed a bit. She wonders if her mom is angry, promises herself she'll be the best daughter ever, and drops down from the sky with a heavy thud right at the town's edge. She heads straight for the old family home, the former Nirvana residence. But what she finds stops her cold. The house is completely destroyed, nothing but rubble and overgrown stone. Her mother had passed away, now resting beside her father in a grave covered with flowers. The Fist Saint, who never flinched against demons, stands there in total shock. But then, a familiar voice calls out, "Ryuta!" Her childhood friend hasn't changed one bit, still the same goofy kid she remembers. He's surprised she's grown up so much, and she fires back that she's grown in ways he can't see. He invites her inside his little house on the outskirts of town, saying she must be starving, and something in Yui's chest finally softens. Ryuta turns out to be a level 24 fisherman with a housework skill rated SSS. He lays out a full spread of incredible food, and Yui's eyes go wide like a kid on her birthday. She digs in, and it's the best thing she's eaten in a decade of battlefield rations and monster hunting. Then the mood shifts. Her mom passed 3 years ago, and Ryuta's been quietly leaving flowers at the graves ever since. Over dinner, Ryuta asks what she's planning to do next. Yui pauses with her cup in hand and admits she never thought about anything beyond living peacefully with her family. Ryuta stays quiet for a moment, then says something that catches her off guard. He always knew she'd come back. That simple faith from this ordinary fisherman hits harder than any monster ever could. Then Ryuta says it. He looks right at her and tells her that the day her father died, he couldn't save him from the monsters. He couldn't heal her broken heart either. But he means every word of what he's about to say. He wants to marry her. Yui Nirvana, level 99 martial artist with 0 experience points in love, completely short circuits. She's stammering, her face is on fire, and the narration helpfully reminds us that this woman who punched the Demon Lord into paste has absolutely no romantic experience whatsoever. Marriage. The word echoes in her brain like a critical hit she never saw coming. The strongest warrior on the continent has been one shot by a fisherman's proposal. Ryuta's mom gives her blessing, saying the two would make a wonderful couple as husband and wife. Yui calls herself clumsy and unworthy, but accepts with her whole heart. She looks up at Ryuta with tears in her eyes and calls him darling, and he responds with her name like he's the one who can't believe this is real. Two childhood friends, 10 years apart, finally closing the distance. Ryuta doesn't stop there. He rebuilt the entire Nirvana estate from the ground up with his own hands. Yui can't believe what she's seeing, a brand new home standing where ruins used to be. He tells her he thought if they lived there, her parents could rest easy. She throws her hat to the wind and screams to the sky that she's going to be happy, and for the first time in the story, she looks completely free. And so, the level 99 martial artist virgin and the level 24 fisherman finally share their first night together, both with absolutely 0 experience. The house is practically shaking. 2 hours later, the narrator drops a stat card for Ryuta's bedroom performance, and every single category is rated S. Turns out his night stats were SSS, tier all along, and nobody, including him, had any idea. Yui Nirvana, the woman who stared down dragons without blinking, is lying there completely overwhelmed. Her hips gave out. The Fist Saint, defeated not by any monster, but by her own husband in their bedroom. She gasps that she never knew this kind of world existed, and the comedy hits just as hard as the romance in this scene. But the pillow talk gets interrupted by a violent earthquake. The ground is shaking, buildings are rattling, and something massive is happening. A glowing symbol blazes across the sky, and a giant gate materializes out of thin air. Yui and Ryuta stare at it in disbelief. Whatever this thing is, it's enormous and radiating pure danger. A divine voice echoes across the land. The goddess herself is speaking. She explains that by slaying the demon lord, the hero broke the seal on the hidden dungeon, a lair of monsters so terrifying that even the demon lord feared it. The only way to reseal it is to retrieve the ring of the goddess from its deepest floor. She puts her faith in the children of the earth to handle it. The dungeon's seal breaking means the monsters inside are now free, and they waste no time. A wyvern at level 48, a white serpent king at level 52, and a dark dragon at level 57 all come crashing out, claiming the surface as their territory. Yui tells Ryuta to watch out, but then realizes these monsters are high level, sure, but they can't even touch her. She's level 99, and this isn't even a warm-up. She grabs one of the dragons by the face and squeezes. The creature can't believe a human would dare, threatening to eat her alive. But Yui isn't playing around. She snaps its horn clean off and stares it down with pure killing intent. The dragon that was talking trash 2 seconds ago is suddenly rethinking every life choice it's ever made. Yui lifts the monster by its skull and delivers the coldest warning in the entire chapter. Get back in that dungeon and never show your faces again. Tell every monster inside. If they dare surface above ground, they answer to her. The level 50 creatures that thought they were apex predators just met the woman who helped kill their boss's boss, and she's not even breaking a sweat. Yui made her decision the night she drove those monsters back underground. Standing beside Ryuta under the moonlight, she tells him everything's fine, that she handled it and things will be back to normal by morning. But in her head, there's only one rule. Ryuta must never discover she's a level 99 martial artist. She has to stay his adorable, beloved wife, no matter what. The next day, everything goes sideways. The goddess's decree about the hidden dungeon turned their sleepy fishing port into the world's premier adventurer destination, literally overnight. Ships flood the harbor, merchants and entrepreneurs pour in chasing the gold rush, and treasure starts spilling out of the dungeon entrance. A full-blown dungeon bubble has swallowed Imizu whole. Yui steps outside and can't believe her eyes. Adventurers in heavy armor are partying in the streets. Thieves are skulking around corners, and a grand trading company has already set up shop. The quiet little town where she planned to live peacefully with Ryuta has transformed into a chaotic boomtown. This feels exactly like the rowdy frontline camps from her days in the Heroes Party. The adventurer invasion hits Ryuta where it hurts, right in the livelihood. Supply prices skyrocket, bait and harbor fees get inflated to gouge the treasure hunters, and things get so bad he can't even fish properly anymore. That's the breaking point for him. He announces he's becoming an adventurer to conquer the hidden dungeon and save their town, and Yui's heart nearly explodes. Ryuta swears he'll reclaim their peaceful life, the town where her parents rest, all of it. Yui watches him pedaling toward the dungeon with fire in his eyes, and she melts. He always puts her first, and she's so grateful she married this man, but now she's got a massive problem. Her level 1 husband is heading into the most dangerous dungeon in the world. So Yui steals her resolve and comes up with the perfect plan. She'll enter the dungeon alongside Ryuta as his cute, supportive wife, while secretly protecting him from the shadows without him ever knowing. She gushes over how amazing he is. He promises to keep her safe, and their mismatched newlywed dungeon-crawling life officially begins. Back at a tavern in town, a rumor is spreading fast among adventurers. Nobody has ever made it past the first floor of the hidden dungeon. The staircase going down simply doesn't exist, and even a full day of searching turns up nothing. Yui overhears this and realizes saving the town won't be as simple as she thought. This dungeon plays by its own rules. Meanwhile, Ryuta checks on Yui during their dungeon lunch break, worried she might not be eating enough. She insists she's fine with hearts in her eyes, and he feeds her with the classic married couple move. The narration helpfully labels them: Adventurer Level 1 Ryuta, Husband and wife, level 1 Yui, wife. These two are so busy being newlyweds, they almost forget they're in a death trap. Somewhere in the dungeon's shadows, 3 pairs of eyes are watching. The Triple Shadow Brothers, assassin-class adventurer hunters who prey on legitimate explorers, robbing their gear and selling it on the black market. The eldest spots Yui and calls her an S-rank catch. The second brother is already drooling over the possibilities. They've found their perfect first targets for the hidden dungeon. The brothers are a nasty crew. The eldest at level 29, the second at 27, the third at 21, all masters of the Shadow Dive assassin skill. They stalk Yui and Ryuta through the first floor, watching the couple flirt while fighting level 1 bugs. The youngest is fuming at how lovey-dovey they are, while the second brother's already fantasizing about what he'll do to Yui. The eldest calls for patience and professionalism. The eldest gives the signal and the brothers plunge into action, cutting all the torchlight at once. He declares they're creatures of the shadows who could never be heroes, but their ultimate technique thrives in darkness. Man or monster, everything falls before their blades. The dungeon goes pitch black around Yui and Ryuta, and the trap is set. The infamous Triple Shadow Brothers end their careers that same day, whimpering on the ground without a sound. The narration delivers it as a matter-of-fact obituary while the brothers grovel and apologize. Yui didn't even break a sweat. She just needs to wrap this up fast so she can get back to her lovey-dovey life with Ryuta. She glares down at the dungeon hallway ahead, annoyed that trash like them even made it into town. But the dungeon isn't done throwing curveballs. While Yui was focused on the adventurer hunters, a monster closed the gap on them from behind. A sudden encounter, pincer attack style. Dungeons work differently from the outside world, forcing random combat encounters whether you want them or not. Yui notes the monster is decent strength, but nothing she can't handle if she gets serious. The problem is, this is the hidden dungeon, and it doesn't play fair. Yui flashes back to her wedding day, to Ryuta's promise to protect her from now on. She's already gotten more love than she deserves, so she can't let him discover her power. It would only cause problems. But then the monster lunges, and Ryuta does exactly what he promised. He steps in front of her with his little knife, shouting for her to stay behind him, and Yui's heart melts all over again. From Yui's perspective, this moment is everything. Back in the hero's party, even though she was a martial artist, they shoved her to the front lines as a human shield and treated her roughly. But Ryuta guards her like a delicate flower blooming in the wild. The narrator points out she's completely glorifying her memories at this point, but she doesn't care. That joy of being protected by someone who loves you is what she's been starving for. Ryuta tells her he'll protect her, and she swoons internally, praising him as amazing. She's found it, the perfect life. Being loved as his cute wife on the surface, while secretly supporting and watching over her husband from the shadows. Their mismatched, newlywed dungeon-crawling adventure has officially begun, and Yui has never been happier playing the weakest person in the room. Back in the royal capital, the king isn't taking any chances with the hidden dungeon situation. He orders Draco Vermilion, vice commander of the Silverwing Knights and a level 51 paladin, to head to Amizu and clear the dungeon with all haste. Draco accepts the mission without hesitation, eyes blazing with duty. The kingdom's finest is heading straight for the one place Yui is trying to hide. On the first floor, Ryuta and Yui run into Draco, and Ryuta is immediately starstruck. A real royal knight, right here in the dungeon. Yui internally panics because the last thing she needs is someone high-level sniffing around, but she plays it cool and keeps up the sweet wife act. Draco explains her retinue couldn't handle the dungeon's high-tier monsters, so she sent them back and is mapping the floor solo. Draco asks to see Ryuta's map, and he happily shows it off. The knight is shocked. There's no staircase leading to the second floor anywhere on it. Yui recalls the rumor from the tavern about nobody ever getting past the first floor, and it clicks. This dungeon is living up to its name. Yui catches Ryuta and Draco leaning in close to study the map together, and immediately gets jealous, completely misreading the situation. Ryuta snaps back to focus and declares they're taking their first step toward conquering this dungeon and reclaiming their town. Yui squeaks with surprise at his sudden determination, but her heart is doing backflips. Ryuta's love for his homeland is driving everything he does, and it makes her fall for him even harder with every passing moment. The dungeon doesn't care about romantic feelings, though. The party gets ambushed by a mid-boss. A massive death orc stands in their path, and this isn't some level 1 bug. Yui's eyes go wide as she sizes up the threat, knowing this creature is way beyond what Ryuta or even Draco can handle safely. The labyrinth is crawling with unknown treasures and monsters, and this floor's guardian just found them. Draco throws herself between the death orc and the couple without a second thought. She tells Yui to take Ryuta and run while she holds the monster off. Ryuta protests, but Draco declares she is a knight. Protecting the people is the sworn duty of the kingdom's order. At level 51, she knows she's outmatched against a level 62 enemy, but she doesn't flinch. The Death Orc smashes Draco with a devastating blow, and she crumples. The narration announces she's on the verge of death, and Ryuta stands there stunned, speechless. The monster is too powerful. At level 51, fighting a level 62. Death Orc was suicide from the start. Draco's companion calls for an immediate retreat, but it might already be too late. The Death Orc spots Yui and its intentions turn vile. It fixates on her, muttering about women, and makes its disgusting intentions clear. The creature grabs for her with one massive hand, and the paladin and Ryuta can only watch in horror. But something shifts in Yui's expression. The helpless wife mask is starting to crack. Yui calmly tells the Death Orc it's crossing a line. With a serene smile and closed eyes, she grabs its finger and squeezes, and the level 1 wife crushes the monster's hand like paper. The Death Orc screams in agony, begging her to let go, while Draco stares in disbelief. The sweet little housewife just manhandled a creature that nearly killed a royal knight. Then Yui unleashes a single kick that sends the level 62 Death Orc flying across the dungeon floor in one hit. Draco can barely process what she just saw. A woman in a maid outfit just one-shotted a monster that almost ended her career. Yui turns around with a sweet smile and thanks Draco for protecting her husband. When asked who she is, Yui simply answers that she's someone's wife. Draco heals up using her paladin magic, but she can't stop thinking about what just happened. She starts connecting the dots. She heard one of the hero's party members who defeated the Demon Lord went missing from the royal capital. The name was Yui, a level 99 martial artist whose fist could split the earth and tear through the heavens. Draco's eyes go wide with recognition. The paladin loses it with excitement, screaming Yui Nirvana's name and calling her the absolute pinnacle of martial arts and her spiritual mentor. Yui's entire world shatters. She's been found out. She collapses to the ground in comedic despair, wailing that being called Fist Saint isn't cute at all. Her carefully maintained cover just got blown wide open by a fangirl in knight's armor. Yui has no choice but to explain everything. How she went from a level 99 martial artist to a level 1 wife, all for love. Draco listens with stars in her eyes, completely moved by the story. But Ryuta notices something's off about the conversation, and Yui internally begs Draco not to say anything more. The knight, thankfully, seems to understand the situation. Draco introduces herself properly. Draco Vermilion, Vice Commander of the Silver Wing Order, level 51 Paladin. Yui internally scoffs, noting these are the same royal knights who skipped the Demon Lord fight, and level 51 is nothing compared to her 99. But Ryuta is genuinely impressed, gushing about how amazing level 51 is, which makes Yui bristle with competitive jealousy. Ryuta asks Draco if she could have taken down the Demon Lord at her level, and Draco humbly says she's still unworthy. She adds that if she ever got the chance, she'd love to test her strength against the Demon Lord. Ryuta turns to Yui and echoes the sentiment, asking if level 51 isn't incredible. Yui forces a smile and mutters that sure, it's great, while internally screaming that she's level 99 and actually did beat the Demon Lord. Draco tells Ryuta something that stops him in his tracks. He's the first adventurer to ever fully clear the first floor of the hidden dungeon. His love for his homeland is what cracked the riddle that stumped every other explorer. They share a moment of mutual respect, calling each other by name for the first time, and a genuine bond forms between them. Ryuta explains to Draco that long ago, his village had an ancient ruin with a statue of the Demon Lord at its center. The villagers tore it down and built a shrine to the goddess in its place, and that's how the village came to be. Yui is stunned she never knew this about her own hometown. They realize the center of the map must hold the key, and Draco offers a silent prayer to the goddess as a paladin to test the theory. Yui notices Ryuta acting strangely. He's staring at Draco with a weird intensity that makes her stomach twist. Meanwhile, Draco puts 2 and 2 together about Yui's true identity and calls her out directly. She names her Yui Nirvana, the Fist Saint, a woman who pummeled the Demon Lord into submission with her bare fists and reached level 99. The one person in the world Yui didn't want recognizing her just did. Yui confirms the truth to Draco. Right now, she's just a level 1 wife, hiding her power so her husband never finds out. It all makes sense to Draco, and she agrees to keep the secret. But meeting her spiritual mentor in a dungeon like this has Draco starstruck beyond reason. The paladin who serves the king is now pledging herself to a woman pretending to be a helpless housewife. And so the party of 3 is formed. Adventurer level 1 Ryuta, Wife level 1 Yui hiding her true level 99 martial artist identity, and Paladin level 51 Draco Vermilion, who now knows the truth. The mismatched dungeon-crawling crew just got a lot more complicated, and Yui's secret is hanging by an even thinner thread than before. Intro, 15 seconds. The first floor is cleared, but now Yui's got a new problem. A knight who worships her, a husband who's getting suspiciously close to that knight, and a party of grave robbers who just picked the wrong housewife to mess with. Her body is literally made of steel, and they're about to find out the hard way. Imizu has fully transformed into a dungeon outpost, and this is the story of a newlywed party challenging the hidden dungeon with love and courage. At the guild's Imizu branch, Yui and Ryuta wait for party registration while the dungeon gate looms over the transformed town. Among those who dared to enter was this particular couple, and the bride has a secret she still can't tell her husband. Draco is officially added to the party registration form. Ryuta Fisherman, Yui Fisherman, and Draco Vermilion. Ryuta welcomes her with open arms, and Draco is thrilled beyond words to be adventuring alongside the Fist Saint she's always admired. But Yui gives Draco a death stare behind Ryuta's back, making it crystal clear that the secret stays buried, no matter what. Ryuta tells Yui to go visit her parents' graves and introduce Draco while he handles the housework. The narration gleefully points out that wife level 1 has absolutely zero domestic skills. She breaks dishes, shreds laundry, and floods the floor with a single bucket. Draco eagerly offers to pay respects to Yui's parents, calling her master, and Ryota sweetly takes over the chores without complaint. Draco reassures a worried Yui that Ryuta still loves her as they walk together toward the outskirts of town. The area near the graves is less affected by the dungeon chaos, and Yui finds comfort knowing her mom and dad can still rest peacefully here. Draco tells her the village is beautiful and that she understands why the couple wants to protect it so badly. Back home, they run into Auntie May, a neighborhood woman at level 48 wife who practically raised Yui and Ryuta as kids. She's overjoyed to see Yui home, and the warmth of this small-town familiarity hits different after everything that's happened. Draco watches the reunion with a soft smile, seeing a side of the legendary Fist Saint that no one in the capital could ever imagine. That night, Ryuta flops onto the bed and sighs about how great it feels to be home. Yui tests the waters by asking what he thinks of Draco, and he innocently calls her a really impressive person. Yui's jealousy meter instantly redlines. She knew it. Ryuta really does like that girl. She accuses him of not being able to take his eyes off Draco's bikini armor, and the misunderstanding spirals beautifully. Ryuta looks her dead in the eyes and says she's the only one he sees, and there's no way he'd ever get distracted by another woman. He reminds her he waited for her in this village for 10 years. Yui melts completely, and then tells him if he's saying he loves only her, he needs to prove it. That night, the two of them go absolutely wild, while poor Draco lies awake next door, noting how thin the walls are. The next day, the newly registered party of 3 dives back into the hidden dungeon. Draco drops to her knees and begs Yui to take her as a disciple. She wants to grow stronger as a knight and as a woman, just like her idol. Yui flatly says no. Draco is shocked, but Yui's expression softens as she realizes that someone actually looks up to her like that. Someone who sees the Fist Saint as hope for every female frontline fighter. Yui changes her mind and asks Draco for a favor instead. Keep the secret from Ryuta. Draco swears on her honor, and the two share a genuine moment of mutual respect. For Yui, who was always used as a human shield in the hero's party, having someone speak about her with such admiration is something entirely new. The master-disciple bond is sealed right there in the dungeon corridor. They encounter another mid-boss, and Yui clings to Ryuta playing scared while Draco handles the fight. The knight takes down the creature with her holy sword Balmung and laughs it off as a tough opponent. Ryuta gushes about how amazing Draco is, while Yui winks at her disciple from behind his back. The perfect tag team of deception is working flawlessly. With the mid-boss defeated, a portal and a door to the next floor both appear. Draco explains the magic circle is a shortcut back to the surface that also proves they cleared the floor. She suggests heading back since Ryuta and she still need healing. Yui agrees, and with that, the hidden dungeon first floor is officially cleared by the party of Ryuta, Yui, and Draco. Back on the surface, the Earth Splitter adventure party, led by Doyle the Tamer, a level 29 mage, is having a rough time. The dungeon was way harder than they expected, and they couldn't even get past the first floor. Desperate for boat fare home, Doyle spots some untouched graves in the countryside and orders his men to loot them. backcountry graves with goods still intact. Draco stumbles upon the grave robbers destroying the very cemetery where Yui's parents rest. She's furious, demanding they stop, but the Earth Splitter party just laughs. A lone female adventurer and 2 housewives can't possibly threaten their whole crew. Their mage smirks and asks if she really thinks one woman can handle their entire party by herself. Draco snaps back that she's trying to save their lives. Draco demands they reverse their mage's spell, and the tension explodes. But before the situation can escalate further, a shadow falls over the adventurers. Yui steps forward with eyes that could freeze lava, and the vibe in the scene shifts completely. She doesn't raise her voice. She just asks how pathetic adventurers have become if they don't even bother to train properly. One of the grave robbers makes the mistake of attacking Yui from behind. His weapon strikes her body and shatters on impact. Her flesh is like hardened steel, the narration reminds us, forged from a lifetime as a level 99 martial artist. Ryuta stares in disbelief as his wife stands there completely unharmed while the adventurer's hands break against her. The secret that was barely holding together just cracked wide open, and Yui hasn't even thrown a punch yet.